And the 20 women are away. Keep a close eye on the laps. We've seen from the B races, these tend to be quite quick starts. We've got a pacemaker in there. The Moroccan, Soukaina Atanan. She's a 31:21 10K runner on the roads. And has got a 2:24 marathon to her credit as well. We expect her to go through to the halfway point, and then the racing begins. And the Moroccan towing them around. It's a really good pace. This is a quick pace from the Moroccan. Goes through the line in around 76 seconds. That's a little bit quicker than the wave lights, which have been set for 31:30. And not surprisingly, the women behind her starting to struggle to keep up with the pacemaker. It's Mamori of France. Mamori, 4:19 1500 meter runner, so she's got good turn of pace over the shorter distances. Hails from the Dessine Maillot Athletisme Club, Mamori, which we've seen lots of at the European Clubs Cross Country Championships, which is traditionally held in February. Del Bueno, Federica Del Bueno, the fastest woman in the field at 31:25. Well, she was fourth, just missed out on a medal at last year's European Athletics Championships over 10 kilometres, 10,000 metres on the track, which is when she set a personal best. Well, I'm afraid the pacemaker isn't helping a great deal, unlike her counterpart in the B race. Atanan, well, she's not helping the rest of the runners behind her. She's looking over the shoulder, but could do a lot more to help them. Agata Skauner is up there as well, the super talented Latvian, now 20 years of age. Looking forward to seeing her at the European Under-23 Championships coming up in Bergen, and that'll be live streamed via European Athletics channels as well. Indeed, the next live streams we've got, so the European Team Championships coming up in Madrid between the 26th to the 29th of April? June. I do hope I've got my dates right there. I'm just remembering off the top of my head. But then that follows with the European Under-23 Championships coming to you from Bergen in Norway, and the European Under-20 Championships from Tampere in Finland. So 3:50 through 3 laps. Runners are now up with the pacemaker. Not sure whether she got any signals from the sidelines just to slow it down a little bit. And it's Agata Skauner up front, at least until August. The reigning under-20 3,000 metre and 5,000 metre champion. Ran under 32 minutes in a mixed race when she was just 18 years of age, Skauner. Federica Del Bueno, the experienced Italian, back in 2015, got a bronze medal at the European Indoor Championships over 1,500 metres. Del Bueno gradually moved through the distances, but that indicates that if it was to come down to a sprint finish, she might be one to watch. Then the two very good Belgians, Jana Van Lent and Chloe Herbier. Van Lent, this year, she's already set Belgian half marathon and 5,000 meter records on the track. Well, the Belgian 10,000 meter records is in the low 31s. It's quite a tall order to try and beat Marlene Render's famous mark of 31.03, which has been on the record book since 2000, so coming up for 25 years. But Herbier and Van Lent, well, it may not be tonight, but they're certainly going to have a tilt at it for sure in the near future. Palmero, 6th in the European Athletics Championships last year as well. Ildrum, the good Turk. So that's a real quality lineup in the leading places at the moment. Eva Dieterich. And now Skauner leading the racing group. 6:22 through 2 kilometres with 20 laps to go. It's good running from Skauner at the front. There's never been a Latvian medalist of any description at this Cup. Not in 26 years. Wonder if this year, the 27th edition, could see a Latvian on the podium and perhaps have the Latvian national anthem ring out over Brittany. So well inside 32-minute pace at the moment. That's around 31.50 pace for Agata Skauner. Atanan, I don't think she's doing a really good job, much of a good job of pacing, I have to be honest. But behind her, they're doing a good job of racing as Federica Del Bueno moves up. So that's a 79 lap. So a little bit slower than the previous laps, but Del Bueno takes the chance just to move up. Van Lent also going past Skauner. The women really having to do their own pacemaking. Atanan not helping a great deal. We saw some really good pacemaking in the men's B race from Atula, but not so much from Atanan here. So Del Bueno leading the Cup contenders. Van Lent, Palmero has moved up. Skauner moved back at the moment. Herbier's got a personal best of 32.15 from last year. She said that she's coming here to run inside 32 minutes after somewhat surprising win at the... So that's a 76 lap from the pacemaker. A little bit slower from the women behind her. As I was saying, Herbier currently in 5th place overall at the moment, including the pacemaker, looking for a time inside 32 minutes following on from that slightly surprising win, but obviously inspired by it being on home soil. And just looking at her social media account, she's absolutely buoyant, and she's been training well in the French Pyrenees as well at altitude. Jana Van Lent, though, last year had a personal best of 31.59. Herbier 2 years ago was in 5th place in that race won by Alina Ray. She's the leading finisher from Pacé 2 years ago to return to this race. So that was about a 78-second lap. So a little bit slower than the preceding one. Still Del Bueno leading the serious protagonist for this cup competition. And Del Bueno, it has to be said, she hasn't run a lot of 10,000 metre races, but she's the fastest woman in this field and a vastly experienced racer at major international championships. And once again, Atanana pulling away. I've never seen the pacemaker once look at a watch. I wonder if she knows what she's really supposed to be doing. So Atanani goes through. In about 11:30, the rest of the women about 2 seconds in arrears. She's just looking over her shoulder, the pacemaker. And Del Bueno's moving up a little bit. Well, I don't know whether that's supposed to be encouraging. At the moment, you couldn't really tell who's winning the team competition. Just look at that. Well, the Italians, Del Bueno and Palmero, are up there, but it depends where their third scorers. They've got Sara Nestler and Rebecca Lonedo in this race as well. So that's another 76 lap from the pacemaker. And I think it's probably around a 76 for the women behind there. So 12:46 for 4 kilometres means that that's around 31:50 pace. But we've got 6 women up in the front. Skauner's drifted back now, and there's a big 30-metre gap back to Skauner in 8th place in this race, 7th overall. 2 Spaniards up there in that chasing group as well. The 2 Spaniards, Berzosa and Navarrete. Chasing group running in the low 32s at the moment. So 78 lap from the pacer. Very slightly quicker, perhaps about a 77 from the women behind her as the gap has slightly closed up. Still Del Bueno leading the race. Van Lent, Palmero, Herbier. Certainly all 4 names we're expecting to see up there at this stage. Ildren perhaps less so. But the Turkish runner doing well. Ildren, reigning national champion over this distance though. Improved her personal best to 32.56. The Turk, and is looking just like her compatriot Seto in the first race to absolutely smash it at this race. at this rate. So, good overhead shot there. Del Bueno, Van Lent, Palmero, Herbier, Ildrum, Dietrich. Those are the 6 women behind Atanana at the moment. So that was about a 77 lap. So they're racing extremely consistently. 77, 78 laps. Still around the 32-minute mark for these women. So considerably slower than recent championships. I'm wondering whether the wind's just picked up a little bit. You can see there the banners around the track starting to blow perhaps a little bit more wildly than they were during the B races. But it wouldn't be a surprise to see these women run a strong negative split. Now, Atanan still in there, very much so, as we see Van Lent moving up to move in front of the 2 Italians now. Herbier, Ildrum and Dietrich still looking very, very happy indeed, though. So, the pacemaker moves to one side, and now the racing begins with 12 laps to go. A bit further back, it's Zabo's come through, Verbruggen's come through. They've still got a huge distance to make up on this leading group of 6 women. Now it'd be very interesting to see who takes the pace at this stage. Van Lent at the moment. Del Bueno, well, she led the group standing off the pacemaker for several kilometres, between 3 and 5 kilometres. But it's Van Lent now. There's been no change in that leading group of 6. It's still Jana Van Lent working really hard. Agatha Schauner, we're expecting to see her up there, but Schauner seems to be struggling quite a bit just looking down the field. Van Lent set a Belgian 10-kilometre record on the roads in Cannes in the south of France in February, and added to her accolades with the Belgian 5,000 metres record of 15:02 in Brussels last weekend. This is a good run from Van Lent. I think she was hoping to get on the podium at the European Running Championships, finish 5th. But in 4th place is the woman who did win the half marathon at those running championships. And it's the 2 Belgians bookmarking the 2 Italians, and then Dieterich and Ildrum off the back of that leading group. So 19:10 at 6 kilometres. Gets them bang on 32-minute pace. Just wondering whether we're going to see a bit of a speeding up over the course of this second half of the race as we get into the final third. Now Del Bueno's picked it up, and picked it up very, very strongly. I think Del Bueno doesn't want to let the chance of a personal best go begging. Of course, there were superb conditions, and she was roared round the Olympic Stadium in Rome last June when she finished fourth, but she's now starting to push the pace and pick it up a bit. This is a quick lap indeed. So another 78 lap. But still this group together at the moment. Del Bueno. Well, she's got the shorter distance credentials as well. Over 1,500 metres and 3,000 metres. Van Lent, that recent Belgian record over 5,000 metres just 7 days ago. Palmero, one of the quickest women in this field, 31:38, her personal best. Again, set in Rome last year. Herbier on course to take some time off her personal best at the moment. The European half marathon champion in fourth place at the moment. Dieterich, 31:45 runner. She needs to pick up the pace if she's to get a personal best. And now Szabo has crossed the gap and got herself on the back of that group. That's an excellent run from Szabo, Alessia Szabo. Back in 2018, when we were in Eure, took the European Under-18 bronze medal over 3,000 metres. Student at the University of Oregon, that athletics mecca in the United States, Alessia Szabo. Personal best of 32:28. That came back in 2022. She was only 20 years of age, but Frenchwoman is having a really good race here. Then quite a distance back to the Spaniard Esther Navet. But it's now Van Lent in front. Del Bueno struggling just a little bit at this stage. Like many runners, seems to be going through just a bit of a bad patch at the moment. 7 laps to go. So around 2.5 kilometres now. And Van Lent still pushing the pace. Dieterich, who looked tired and looked as though she was struggling just a lap ago, has moved past Herbier, Palmero and Del Bueno to tuck herself in at second place. And there's starting to be gaps opening up now. Van Lent, a couple of metres to Dieterich, and then a couple more metres back to Herbier. And then it's the two Italians. Ildrum starting to struggle. Szabo getting the cheers as she moves up, the Frenchwoman in 6th place. I make that a 72 second lap, 73 unofficially. So a really quick lap there from Van Lent. And she's starting to break away. I'm wondering whether that move will be the decisive one. You can see moving at quite a different pace to the women behind her, and the gap is continuing to open up now. It's about 15 metres very quickly back to Dieterich. Herbier just focusing She knows that she'll be rewarded with at least a personal best if she tucks in behind Dieterich. But Van Lent now looking as though she's starting to really work hard and get away. Jana Van Lent going through the line. 5 laps to go. 8 kilometers in 25. So she's got it back into sub 32 minute pace. And Dieterich now starting to drift further and further back from Jana Van Lent. Van Lent now starting to lap some of the back markers in this very good quality race. There you can see the gap continuing to open up between Jana Van Lent and Dieterich. So that's another very quick lap indeed, 72 seconds. Van Lent is starting to pour it on, just 4 laps of the Stade Chasseurboeuf, the ox hunting bowl. Overtaking Lanedo now. Lanedo has been lapped. At the moment, it's looking as though it's the Italians on the way to that team title that they last won more than a decade ago. But Jana Van Lent, well, there's no one being able to keep pace with her after she poured it on and made that decisive move with little more than 8 kilometres to go. There are the women in 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. Dieterich, Herbier and Szabo. The 2 Italians, Palmero and Del Bueno, drifting further back. Huge cheers, though, every time the infield announcer, though, mentions the name of Alessia Szabo. She's 23 years of age, just stepped out of the under-23 ranks. But this is Jana Van Lent. Now she's passing Agatha Schauner. Schauner looking very leaden, looking very tired. We know Schauner's very talented, but it looks as though she's going to have a fair bit of work to do in the coming months or so to make an impact in the under-23 ranks. Van Lent pouring it on. So Van Lent coming down the home straight. Less than a kilometre now to go. Just 800 metres, 2 laps to go. Goes through in 29:11. So we're looking at around 31:40 for the winning time if Jana Van Lent can keep this going. Maybe even a fraction faster. And the big question as far as the team title is concerned is, where is the 3rd Belgian? Where is Hannah Verbruggen? Because Belgium would have a fighting chance of a team title. There's never been a Belgian individual winner, man or woman, in this cup. Belgium did win the team title. Oof. Just looking it up now. Back in 2006, Same year that Elvin Eblegassi set the current cup record of 30:21:67. Well, that's not going to happen. Skauner's about 80 seconds off that pace, though. So Skauner could well come through in around 31. Van Lent could well come through in about 31:30 if she can keep maintaining her form. Behind her, it's going to be a terrific race for second place. Herbier now starting to move away from Szabo. Dieterich has gone, the German, out of the reckoning, but it's 100 meters between the women who are going to be on second and third place on the podium, and Jana Van Lent. Van Lent, barring disasters, is racing away with just 200 meters to go to the European Cup 10,000 meters title. So it's still Van Lent, and she's starting to accelerate, pick up the pace. She's certainly on course for taking about 30 seconds off a personal best, and it's going to be personal best for the two women behind her. So Jana Van Lent comes down the home straight for the very last time, overtaking back markers. Just keep an eye on the clock. She doesn't ease up. She's still going strong. It's going to be 31:32:27. A personal best by no less than 27 seconds for the very first individual winner of the European 10,000 meters Cup from Belgium, Jana Van Lent. So, around behind her, Alessia Szabo, breaking 32 minutes for the very first time in her career. Herbier, also under 32 minutes. Dieterich, just outside her personal best that she recently set at the German 10,000 meter championships. So what a great race that was over the closing laps. Palmero, well, about 30 seconds outside of her best. So let's keep an eye on the times. We'll do a bit of scribbling down now. The Italians have got two home as well now. Well, Alicia Berzosa coming through very strongly to get a personal best. We didn't see very much of Berzosa or Nestola over the final few laps, indeed the final few kilometres, but the Spaniard in 8th and Nestola in 9th. I think that Verbruggen comes through for 10th in a personal best, and I think that's good enough just to give the Belgians the team title ahead of the Italians. Let's just wait for confirmation. There was 14 seconds between the pair of them, but I think that's good enough for Belgium just to, by only a handful of seconds, take the team title from Italy. Likely to be France taking third place in the team competition. So what a great day for Belgium in this women's event in the European 10,000 meters Cup. Jana Van Lent taking gold. Chloe Herbier bronze. And I do think it's Belgium taking the team title. There you go, Jana Verbruggen. Well, a major contributor to Belgium, I believe, taking the team title. Give you confirmation of that very shortly, though. Well, a terrific race. And Alessia Szabo, second in the individual race. And I think she'll be on the podium as well, with France taking probably the bronze medal in the team competition. So Jana Van Lent confirmed 31:32:20. Alessia Szabo 31:50. Chloe Herbier 31:54. Personal best for the leading three home, the medalists, and a few other personal bests as well, not least of which for Jana Verbruggen taking 55 seconds off her best, the Belgian in 10th. And that was so important as far as the team competition is concerned. There we go. So by just over 38 seconds, Belgium do indeed take a team title. They have only won once before, back in 2006. Italy following them home, and France, the hosts, will be on the podium. Ukraine just missing out, despite all their runners being in the B race.